Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So today I'm here to tell you guys that 2017 has come to an end. I'm sure you guys didn't know that. So since 2017 has now ended, finally, I'm here to talk about my top 12 albums that were released in 2017. Now, this is my personal list, all my opinions of my favorite albums that were released. Also, after I mention each album, I'm going to be recommending a song for you guys to listen to off of said album, just in case you guys are watching this video and are unaware of a certain album that I mentioned, so you guys can go check it out. And let's begin with the list. At number 12 is All We Know of Heaven, All We Need of Hell by Paris. This album is different, but yet very similar to their past album, White Noise. White Noise was my album. I was obsessed with it for the longest time when I first listened to it years ago. Their new album stays true to Paris's original sound. They definitely have their sound, and this album very well portrays that. I love the vibe that the album gives off. I love everything about it. The only reason why this album is so low on the list is because I felt that the drumming probably could have been better, because that's probably one of the only things on the album that I wasn't a big fan of. And my recommended song off this album is going to be Half, which is a single. It's one of their first singles. It's such a good song. I love that song. It's just, yeah. All right, continuing. At number 11 is Harry Styles by Harry Styles. Back in like 2011, 2012, when One Direction first went big in America, I was a One Direction stan. I was obsessed with One Direction back in the day. Harry Styles was, if I had to rank the boys, Harry Styles would have been my number 2 because Zayn is my number 1. So because of that, once I found out that Harry was going to be releasing a solo album, I was very excited, and I was also unsure of what direction he was going towards. I didn't know if Harry was going to release a pop album or a rock album or whatever, considering that before X Factor he was in a rock band. So I didn't know if he was going to continue that or if he was just going to like create pop music as he did with One Direction. But he didn't disappoint, and he released a rock album. Before I even listened to the album, I watched the Apple Music documentary about the making of the album. It got me really hyped to listen to it. After I finished watching the documentary, I listened to the album for the first time in full, completely, and I loved it. Alright, this album is very good, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who never listened to this album simply because Harry Styles released it, but get your head out your ass and listen to the album because I promise you this album is really good, and if you like rock music, you will like at least one song off of this album. And so my recommended song from this album would have to be Kiwi, which is a recent single off of the album. A music video recently came out for it, and it's such a good song. It's just listen to it and you'll know exactly what I mean. It's a great song. Number 10 on my list is Damn by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, man, I never really listened to him. This year was definitely the first year that I really listened to Kendrick, because in the past, obviously, I've heard of his music before. I've listened to 1 or 2 songs, but not as much as now. When the album was first announced, a ton of people were talking about it, a ton of people were hyped about it, and I don't know, I wasn't really hyped at all. I wasn't really like, oh cool, like somebody else is releasing an album, it wasn't really anything special to me. But the hype got to me, so once the album actually released, I downloaded it, and I listened to it, and I loved it. I'm sure everybody has heard the song Humble, considering that it's everywhere. The music video for Humble is amazing. The song Humble is amazing. And all the other songs off of the album are just as amazing. The whole album is just very good. It's just very good. My recommended song off of Damn would have to be Love, which is a slightly different sounding song out of all the other songs on the album. That song really stood out to me when I first listened to the album. So I recommend you guys listen to it. And it's also a single, so you can watch the music video too. Number 9 on my list is Everybody by Logic. Man, so just like Kendrick, I never really listened to Logic. He's huge in my town. I think because of that is why I never really listened to him, because the hype kind of just got me uninterested, if that makes any sense. I don't know, I was really just up my ass about it, but I never really listened to Logic. The song that everybody has heard, 1-800-LOGIC, which is a song about suicide, and the full title is the Suicide Hotline. That song was everywhere. It basically went viral. That song is the reason why I wanted to listen to the rest of the album, and I wanted to see what else Logic had to offer. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I was not disappointed. This album is very good, and highly recommend you guys listen to it if you guys like rap music at all, because it's such a good album. And the recommended song off of this album is Take It Back, which is a very woke song, as the kids say. It's a very good song. It's one of his shorter songs, and he has a bit of like a monologue at the end of it. Listen to the song. It's a great song. And at number 8 on my list is Perception by NF. NF. I had no idea who this guy was before maybe like 2 months ago. Never heard of him before. I never listened to his music. I never heard his name. None of that. But here we are. He's on my top 12 list. Like, of course he has to be good. Literally one day I was scrolling through some newly released albums. I saw the album artwork for Perception, and that's literally what stood out to me first, the album artwork. I know, like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, but like, when I see a good album artwork, it immediately makes me want to listen to the album, because in my opinion, the album artwork should create a visual for what's to come in the album, what the album is representing. So I didn't really know what to expect seeing the album artwork for Perception. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna download it. I like rap music. Let's see what this guy has to offer. And I don't regret it at all. To be completely honest, I know a lot of people don't like it when people say this, but being seriously honest here, when I first listened to this guy, the first thought that came into my head was old Eminem. I'm sure you guys didn't know this, but I used to be an Eminem fanboy. I used to be obsessed with Eminem, and listening to this guy rap gave me a lot of memories of when I first ever listened to Eminem. The feeling I had, you know, his voice, his vibe, just the way he raps, his energy. I love it, and it's I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain myself about this guy, but because of that, the recommended song for this album is Intro Part 3, which is the first song off of the album, and that song really sets the tone for the rest of the album, so definitely listen to it. Thanks. Alright, and now number 7 on my list is Mesmer by Northlane. So, as you all know, Northlane is basically my favorite progressive metal band, and Nick Pedersen, the drummer of Northlane, is one of my favorite drummers. So, obviously, this album is going to be on this list. Like, come on. The drumming in this album is incredible. Marcus, the new singer of Northlane, I didn't really know what to expect from him in this album. The last album, Node, was incredible. Honestly, I could say that Node was my favorite album that Northlane has released. I didn't know what was gonna come from this album, this new one, Mesmer. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I definitely was not disappointed at all. This album is incredible, and it's just so good. And you guys know that I'm not good at explaining myself, but trust me when I say that this album is very good. Okay? If you guys like progressive metal, any shape or form or whatever, listen to this album if you haven't yet. Come on, it's so good, right? And my recommended song from this album is definitely Render. Nick Pedersen has a drum playthrough of this song, which I also recommend you guys watch. Watch the drum playthrough, listen to the song, listen to the album. You won't regret it, I promise. Alright, and at number 6 on my list is Feel Something by Movements. This album is huge from what I've seen. Before this album was released, I knew of the band Movements, but I never really properly listened to them before. But once this album released, everybody was talking about it. I just remember seeing it all over my feed on all of my social medias. I felt like I was out of the loop. I was like, who are Movements? Like, why haven't I listened to them before? So I downloaded this album because of the hype, and man, I was not disappointed once I started listening to this album. It was definitely recent too. When I first started listening to this album, it was very recent, but like, I have no complaints. This album is so good. I listened to it on repeat for like a solid week because of how much I liked it, man. I don't even like, all I had to do was listen to the first song off the album and I was instantly hooked, and I was like, wow, okay, this sounds great. Like, I love the vibe of the album. I love the sound. It's just good, man. It's so good, alright? That's why it's so high on this stupid list, okay? And considering the fact that I said the first song off the album is what really got me hooked, is why I'm recommending Full Circle off the album, which is the first song off the album. It really sets the tone for the rest of the album, and it just, I don't know, it hooked me immediately, so I'm expecting that it'll hook you guys too. So, yeah, listen to it. Alright, and at number 5 on my list is The Peace and the Panic by Neck Deep. of course this album is going to be on this list. Like, of course I'm gonna mention this album. Like, why would I not? As you all know, I love Neck Deep. I've been a fan of Neck Deep since Rain in July. I love them, man. I love their music. I love the sound they've had through their past albums. They never disappoint me, man. They just never disappoint me. I don't know what to tell you. I love the sound they're going for in this album. I remember Ben, the frontman of Neck Deep, talking about this album, saying that it's almost like a response to the last album. Because the last album, Life's Not Out to Get You, it was kind of just like, almost like a don't worry, life is great type of album. And then The Peace and the Panic is like a response saying like, the world sucks, man. Like, life sucks, but like, let's come together and sing about it and make music about it. And I don't know, that was a shitty way to explain it. But, man, it's just a great album, and I highly recommend you guys listen to it if you haven't yet, obviously. It's very emotional if you really pay attention to the lyrics, especially since the most emotional song, which is 1970-something, which is about Ben's dad, who recently died, if you guys didn't know. Man, that song hits hard when I first listened to it. Oh my god. And not only that song, but also Wish You Were Here, which is about, I believe, a friend of Ben's who died also recently. So just that, you guys just know this album is an emotional one. And my recommended song from this album is Don't Wait, which is featuring the lead singer of Architects. So I don't know why, I just love that song. So yeah. Alright, and at number 4 on my list is Science Fiction by Brand New. Now, I wasn't gonna put this album on this list because of the allegations against Jesse Lacey. I just felt that it wouldn't be a good idea for me to do that. But this album has been such a great album to me and to so many other people in my life that I feel like I just have to mention. As you guys know, I saw Brand New live last year, and they are incredible live, and I love their music. I've been a huge fan of their music for years, like literally since middle school. I've been a huge fan of their music, and I've been waiting for a release for all of those years. Like, I got into them after last album, which I believe was Daze. Like, I got into them after that, so I was kind of just stuck in their hiatus for the entire time, and they weren't releasing anything. I mean, they released some like demos and EPs and stuff like that. That was great, but like, come on, I was waiting for an album. Science Fiction definitely just got there. Like, it hit hard, man. That album is great. And the song I recommend off of this album is Same Logic / Teeth. That song stood out to me when I first listened to the album. It's my favorite song off the album, so yeah. Now at number 3, man, top 3, is Waiting for the Morning to Come by Being as an Ocean. This album, man, Being as an Ocean will never disappoint, ever. Alright, I've been a fan of Being as an Ocean also since middle school, and man, like, their music is so good, and their lyrics really hit home. They're very emotional, and I don't even know how to explain it, man. I just love Being as an Ocean. I've always been a huge fan of them. This album, I've been waiting for quite a while for. From what I remember hearing about this album, they released this album after a huge dispute that they had with their record label, I believe. Don't know the details. I remember reading about it a long time ago, but I just remember that they released this album independently, technically, because they were off the label at that point. But it was like a big deal, and a whole dispute was happening. But it's just, I just remember waiting so long for this album. Like, I remember when Dissolve released as a single a long time ago. I think last year, Dissolve was released as a single, and I was so excited for the album. I was like, come on, like, I'm ready for this album to drop. Oh my god, the anticipation was very high, and they did not disappoint me, obviously, considering that they're number 3 on my list. And Being as an Ocean is a great band. Highly recommend it. And my recommended song off of this album is Black and Blue. Alright, top 2. These next 2 albums, I'm sure if you're a true viewer of mine, you already know what these next 2 albums are. So at number 2 is After Laughter by Paramore. Who would I be if I didn't put this album on this list? Like, who would I be? This album is a huge step in a different direction than people are usually expecting of Paramore. Their self-titled album was already different from their past albums. This album, After Laughter, is so much different than even their self-titled album. They're going in a completely different direction. I support it 100%. Paramore as a band has gone through so much. Hayley Williams has gone through so much. This album very much shows that. From what I'm familiar with, Paramore going on their sort of hiatus, I guess you can say, was because of stuff that Hayley was going through personally with her mental health, with her personal life, and this album talks about that. So this album is much more transparent about mental health issues than Paramore has been in the past, and I just, oh, oh my god. This album is definitely an incredible album. I saw Paramore live on their tour supporting this album, and easily my favorite show that I've ever been to, because I had the best experience. Please listen to this album if you haven't. So my recommended song off of After Laughter is 26, which is a very sad song. It's a great song, so listen to it. Alright, and now, number 1 on my list. I'm gonna try not to cry while talking about this number 1 album, One More Light by Linkin Park. If you guys know me at all, of course I was gonna choose Linkin Park as number 1. Linkin Park is my number 1 band. The death of Chester has really hit me harder than any death has ever hit me. You know, I even made a video about it. Like, that's how bad it hurt. Linkin Park has been there for me for so many years. Like, that band is my band. Like, anybody who knows me in real life, if you ask anybody who knows me in real life, what's Ada's favorite band? Immediately, no matter how old I am, they would say Linkin Park. Since elementary school. From what I know, this entire album is about mental illness. Specifically, Chester's mental illness. And my recommended song off of this album is One More Light, which is, I think, the last single they've ever released from this album. They made a tribute music video for Chester using that song, and I bawled my eyes out. So, yeah. So, with that, the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this list of my top 12 albums of 2017. I'm currently in my new room and still in the process of switching rooms. My studio is currently in renovation, so it's gonna be a while for that to be up and running. Yeah. That's it. Bye.